Get ready for hot takes and insight from local industry experts in real estate, business, and lifestyle. He used to play ball with the Padres. He played hockey for the Lobos. Now they're crushing it in the real estate game. Together, they'll showcase the best of the Duke City. This is All About YouABQ.
Oh, that's right. It's all about YouABQ. Now, the goal of the show is to highlight the best of our city's industry experts in real estate, culture, and lifestyle so that you walk away with some value and feeling inspired. Now, the way we like to do that is to answer the questions you may have or interview the guests that you want to see. So we invite you to join the conversation. You can follow us on our social media tag or join our email list to get some timely tips about our community and real estate market. Hey, I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque.
Grant Harvey, Vision Mortgage Home Loan Expert.
You probably recognize Grant as the head coach of the University of New Mexico men's Lobo hockey team, but now he's absolutely crushing it in the mortgage space.
You're not having deja vu. You've seen Skip on HGTV's House Hunters, and he's part of the top 2% producing real estate agents in the city.
Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. We're joined in studio by Colin Mitchell. Colin Mitchell is a good buddy of mine, director of business development at Nextracker. We're talking solar.
We're going to the top. We're head honcho.
So 300 days of sunshine in New Mexico. So solar is huge here. Colin's going to drop some knowledge on us on the pros and cons of residential, but also where the big projects are going in the state, but also commercial-wise.
Yeah, solar is such a perplexing subject for everyone. They kind of get frozen. Most people feel like it ought to happen for their house, but they don't know how to go about it. And I'll tell you what, every solar salesman, I like, dude, get out of here. Like, I'll figure it out on my own. But I won't.
No, it's funny because we get so many calls with people who are like, yeah, man, I just want to get some solar on my house, man. Just be real crunchy, live off the grid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't think, we'll clear this up, but I think people have a misconception about when you get solar, what happens thereafter. I don't think you get to just grow a beard and not talk to people anymore.
Man, what have you been up to, dude? How was your weekend?
Well, we had a hockey banquet, end of the year, and the big announcement that UNM's moving up to Division II hockey. So, good job, Logan Limeron, the new coach. He's got some good recruiting class, and so we'll see what happens. But it'll be a whole new batch of colleges we've never played before, and I'll just sit back with a pencil and critique.
That's great, man. So does that mean more of a budget for you guys or anything like that, or it's just more of a skill level?
It actually doesn't, but we've put together such a good fundraising, and we have perennial sponsors and stuff. So it kind of laid down the groundwork in its building. So we've become kind of an entity that has attracted donors, and so we're in good shape.
Well, look, we always try and be athletic supporters on this show.
Yeah, two jocks here.
Just two jock straps.
What'd you do?
Okay, so we had Danny and Julian of Rebel on our show previously. And Rebel's this great live music venue. You always go to shows there. We always highlight it, but we got to go to our first show there. Shout out All Night Alan and Darren. And so we went to see Teddy Swims, bro. Teddy Swims. And so we had the night, they rolled out the VIP treatment for us, and so we got to check out the venue. It's a great time, man.
Yeah, mom music and top 40. Casey Kasem would be really proud of you.
I have never seen a larger crowd, though, to be honest with you. There were people parked all the way up at Topgolf. It was wild.
Much?
Yeah, it was wild.
Well, I wonder if obviously sold it to capacity. I wonder what capacity there is. And I've been in some really busy shows. Don't you feel like you still had a lot of room?
Well, it was nuts to butts, if I'm being
really?
honest.
Did you go upstairs?
We couldn't get upstairs.
Amateur. All people. I could get upstairs. Hoo. You have to come with me next time if you want to have some real fun. I'll show you around the place.
I know people.
Yeah, so Julian was my old captain, right? So when I see him, I don't demand free concerts. He's actually a really nice kid, and oftentimes I do pay, but he does roll out the red carpet like Skip says, and he's just a good family-owned business and bringing really big-name acts and that we never had before. Mm-hmm. So any other, if you want to have like maybe Shakira or whatever music you listen to, we'll try to see if we can get her in.
Let's get Shakira on the show. I know she's been a big
Actually,
fan.
I'd be surprised. She's gonna come on out, Shakira.
Shakira.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears into something way more exciting. Let's talk about taxes, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, state taxes, it's always nice to understand where New Mexico ranks and where Albuquerque ranks nationally, right? Because when people are relocating here, they always want to understand, am I saving money by moving to New Mexico? What are some of the pros and cons about living in New Mexico? So we're talking about tax burden by state. Now, Wallet Hub did a study that showed that New York has the highest overall tax burden, while Alaska has the lowest. Now, Maine is the highest property tax burden. Alabama has the lowest. California has the highest individual income tax burden, while 7 states, including Texas, Florida, Washington, all have the lowest. But here's where Washington falls short. They have the highest sales and excise tax burden, while New Hampshire has the lowest. And the study shows, obviously, red states have a lower tax burden than blue states. And New Mexico kind of falls right in the middle of the top 50.
So here's some trivia that I should not know, but I went to Delaware one time for a concert, and I was aware that they have some of the lower taxes, and I think they're a blue state, so it's kind of a juxtaposition, if you will.
Hi,
I'm at Delaware.
I'm in Delaware.
Actually, you can't. Let me defend Delaware for all you Delaware residents. You know, I know you're chomping at the bit here. It was actually a pretty cool place, and there's beach. There's a beach there. And I just realized when you go back east, like everything's within stone's throw away. You're like, oh, you want to go to Philadelphia, you want to go to Delaware, you want to go to New York. It's you just got to rollerblade 2 miles and
yeah, and you're in Rhode Island.
yeah.
Well, that's great. So yeah, taxes, man. Sorry to kill the mood there, but I just wanted to talk about nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of nerdy stuff, is there anything that's grinding your gears as we get into
Grant's Rants. I love that photo. It doesn't get old.
Hello, Google.
That photo stemmed from we had this good time thing, but we'll get into that some other time. Okay, so here are sayings that I think need to go away for good. And I'll start with, so I did a thing today. Usually girls are guilty of this, and then people go, well, what'd you do and stuff. Just say what you did. So you did a thing today. You're not 5, okay? Sorry, not sorry. Yeet that out of here. Only in Albuquerque, and there'll be things like car crashes, and people think that's just unique for Albuquerque. Car crashes happen everywhere. Catalytic converters go missing everywhere. You know, maybe more so here, but don't say only in Albuquerque. It doesn't happen everywhere. Calling your mom bruh. I witnessed this too many times, and there's been kids that go bruh, and I'm like, your mom? And that's a female, by the way. Okay, people say, well, living rent free in your head. All right, enough of that. I mean, that lasted for 2 years, but it's a stupid saying. People also say, I want my 5 minutes back. No matter if you're eating pizza, winning the lottery, those 5 minutes happen. You can never get time back. That's how time works, okay? You can't get it back. Don't ask for it. It's a vibe. Another kind of girl thing that needs to go. I know Skip's shaking his head. It's ridiculous. When people have birthday months. No, you get 1 day, and I want to hear about it after that. Get out of here. Okay. And then asking for advice, asking for a friend. We know it's you. It's not clever. Just say it. Just be a man. Come out with it. And then people say, just saying. You didn't say anything just now. We know what you said. We heard it out of your mouth. People say hangry. No one thinks that's clever anymore. Just say that, I'm going to tear your head off if we don't have a pizza. And last, when people go, mic drop, and it's usually not that profound. Pick the mic back up and get something interesting. That's the end of the Grant's Rants. This is going to catch fire.
Very ranty. I would just say, dude, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day.
Yeah. To the tune of.
Yeah. So old sayings should come back, like taking the slow boat to China and stuff like that. Let's get that going back. Like the roaring 20s lingo. Let's do that.
This whole episode's taking the slow boat to Taxville. Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. We're joined by Colin Mitchell, the Director of Business Development at Nextracker Solar. We're going to get into some cool solar topics.
You know who I used to contact a lot? Probably his brother. I used to contact Colin sick when I didn't like my work.
Yeah, every Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then stay tuned to the end of the show. It's everybody's favorite Skip's Tips. This is YouABQ.
Marriages.
Hey, welcome back to YouABQ. I am Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip, real estate brokerage here in Albuquerque.
I'm Grant's Rants.
Grant's Rants.
New Mexico broker.
We're joined in studio by Colin Mitchell, the Director of Business Development at Nextracker. We're talking about all things solar. Colin, big fan of yours, and I know you're a big fan of the show.
Huge fan.
Thanks for stopping by today.
Mega fan, yes.
You know, I know you through one of our original guests was Matthew Binder, who's a very successful author.
New York Times, top 1 million.
Bestseller. Yeah.
Amazon Prime
Yes.
guy.
Yeah.
No, but you and I have been friends for a while, just through Matt, and Matt's a funny kid. But yeah, we had him on the show, had a couple jokes with him. But talk a little bit about, and then you obviously know Grant through going to all the book readings.
Yep.
Just nerding out.
Yep.
We do support Matt, and family comes, and we meet new people.
We're
the
athletic
friendship circle
supporters,
extended.
as well as
Are we doing this again?
yeah,
Okay.
it's hacky. Colin, dude, so tell me a little bit about your backstory, man. Here's what I like about you. You bounced around a bunch, from San Diego up to Alaska.
Yep.
Dude, how the hell did you end up in Albuquerque?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, it's more than that. My dad was like a vagabond, just world traveler. I was born in like Micronesia. We moved to Southern California.
What's that? Hold on. Micronesia?
Micronesia is like Guam, Palau, Truck Islands.
Yeah.
Saipan.
Oh, plow, yeah.
You just new things I've never heard
got
of
plow-
over and
you got
over.
plow.
You know, and then the layers keep going. Well,
You've heard of Guam. You've heard of Guam.
Yeah, okay, yes. Yeah.
Okay,
You've
yeah,
been
so
on
check-
Earth, right? You know Earth? You familiar with Earth, Grant? Yeah, okay, we'll stop there. Okay.
Yeah, it's the middle of the Pacific. Like, there's nothing else out there. The U.S. happens to have a large base there to control what goes on in Asia. Yeah.
No.
Anyway, my dad was a marine biologist. We just kind of moved around a lot. So I got that in the blood, but maybe a little bit too much time in Seattle and Anchorage kind of made me just desperate for the sun again. And long story, but I lived in Taiwan for a couple of years. I read a paper about, this was back in like '98. I read a paper on the promise of solar energy and what it could possibly do by this professor out of something called San Juan College, which I'd never heard of before. And I wrote to him, and he said he was going to start a solar class, a one-year solar design and installation certificate degree, like a technical degree.
What year was this?
This was 2000, so it took a couple of years.
Whoa,
but
okay.
2000.
Yeah.
And out of Farmington, San Juan College in Farmington, New Mexico. And I was so taken by this guy and what I read that I was the first graduating student in that program. So Farmington, San Juan College, 2000. That program actually was funded by the San Juan Generating Station, which is a coal plant right there in Farmington. It was like a 1970s era coal-fired electric generation plant, which if nobody's ever been to, and most people have never been to a coal plant, it is quite something to go to. It produces a tremendous amount of energy. It still produces a tremendous amount of energy for the U.S. and globally. There's a huge mine that feeds coal into that facility, or
Up
did.
in Farmington?
Skip used to be a coal miner, so we thank you for your service.
Is that right?
Yeah. Or some of the shoes he wears would imply that.
I have dirty shoes, apparently.
Got it. That was in 2000. The solar energy industry, as well as all the lobbying efforts, basically shut that plant down in 2022, as well as the Navajo generating station. So you're seeing now a number of coal-fired electric generation plants get shut down and replaced with solar and wind.
So I think that's a fascinating background. I'm sure you have a ton of knowledge when it comes to solar panels and solar technologies in the industry itself. Talk a little bit about Nextracker. Now, this is a company out of
Fremont, California.
Yeah.
They're the world's largest tracker manufacturer, which most people don't know what that is. It's basically it's a way of taking a solar panel and pointing it towards the sun as the sun rises in the morning, and then it follows the sun through the afternoon to evening. So it's just
to maximize exposure, basically.
It's basically the only structure that's used to grab the solar panel and secure it to the ground and move it, and it's the only racking technology that is used on the utility scale solar now.
Okay. So when we talk about solar panels and solar, a lot of people have the thought that we're talking about residential, but the big money is in these large scale commercial projects.
Yep.
Does New Mexico have like a solar farm? Like you drive past like some big area and it's just nothing but solar panels.
Yeah.
It does. We're a fantastic state for that. The land is cheap. We actually don't use a lot of power here in New Mexico relative to like Texas, Arizona, Colorado, California, neighboring states. And so, but we have large transmission lines that run across New Mexico. So you have high elevation, which means high intensity sunlight and relatively cheap land. So developers come from all over the globe and the United States, and they build large utility scale power plants here, and then send the power out of the state.
So explain the elevation. Like, what's the difference in, say, we have sea level? What's the
efficiency
advantage?
level?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically that the sunlight, as it's coming through the atmosphere, we're at 5,300 feet or something like that. So relative to sea level, we have 5,300. We have the advantage of 5,300 feet of less atmosphere for these sun photons to get through. So it's easier. We basically produce more solar energy here relative to some place that's sea level.
Is it because of smog, or like just particulates in the air, or what is it that
Pollen, big pollen guy. Right?
It's everything. It's all of that.
A lot of
Pollen
hairspray I've been
dust.
using. Good thing the dichloromethane.
For sure. Pollutants, all of those kinds of things. Yeah, less stuff to get through.
Yeah.
And also, being at a higher elevation means that we're cooler, maybe in the mornings and the evenings than we would be at sea level. Photovoltaics likes colder temperatures, so
That's interesting.
high elevation, colder temperatures is best.
Let's switch gears a little bit, because I know you've had a different perspective in the fact that you've lived everywhere from the West Coast all the way up to Alaska, and ending up in New Mexico. I think is a cool story. You know, just chasing solar dreams. But in your opinion, I mean, what are some of the selling points of Albuquerque, of New Mexico in general? I mean, what do you? Because and also let's talk about the part of town that you live in, because you've introduced me into a whole new neighborhood, a whole new section of town, and that you guys have kind of are slowly taken over.
Yeah, I'm a bit, I think, schizophrenic on this, because I both love and hate Albuquerque for sure. And there are times I really hate Albuquerque, and there are times
Let's get into those bullet points. You know?
I really love Albuquerque. So yeah, you want to hear the hateful?
No, I don't. It's actually not conducive to any our goal of the show. Name your top 20 things you hate. Oh man, it's hard to
I
pick.
just love Albuquerque so much. So yeah, how did I move here? Well, yeah, I moved here for solar business for sure. Also, it's just relatively cheap to live here. You know, you can get a fairly nice property here for.
Let's talk about some of those nice properties, because you're a little bit of a real estate mogul yourself. In fact, that you're taking over, you know, large portion of the South.
You're just bulldozing houses and putting up solar panels.
Kicking
This is a
families
solar
out.
farm now. Find
That's
somewhere
not
else
true.
to live.
That's not true. Don't say that. Don't say that.
But we got to visit and tour one of your latest projects where you've moved your whole family into it's basically a triplex on a couple of acres almost.
It's like it's like an acre and a half. Okay, these are the things I love. I love that, you know, a lot of the land used to be like old farmland. I think a treasure of the South Valley are these like acequias that run just, you know, in a grid all through the lowlands here that used to, and that still kind of do, but not very much, irrigate farmland, right? Some of these canals are like pre-Columbian. I mean, this is old stuff that had been like kind of repurposed.
1492 and before.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Okay.
I'm also kind of fascinated by like Middle Rio Grande Conservancy District as a huge entity that I guess I give money to, that has these huge swaths of land that they maintain. Anyway, so I love this idea of getting in there and like irrigating huge, you know, old farmland. We sort of hobby raise some goats and sheep.
Well, you have a whole setup with wild animals and chickens and shit running around, but you also like everything is under the shade.
Yeah,
under the shade of the canopy of the cottonwood trees and everything along the river.
I love that. That's my jam, I guess.
So when you're talking South Valley, you're talking mom and pop shops, carnicerias.
Jesus.
Wow. I had to slow that one down.
You're becoming unglued. He's really good at the Spanish words. I just don't do it. He always takes it.
Goes for it.
Just roll the dice. Just rolling R's. It sounds like a diesel truck.
I don't think I'm qualified to say that word, but yeah.
Okay, so you have the farmland. You have other animals. What other animals do you have? Do you have alpacas? Have you ever considered that?
Not alpacas. I tried. There are some huge. What do you call them? Flocks of like peacocks
Eagles.
and things.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably a word for peacocks.
A flock of peagles.
Peacocks.
Flock
But there
of
are
peacocks.
people that live in the South Valley. No, you can hear them at nighttime. They just roam about in the neighborhoods there. We're on the other side of the zoo, the other side of the river from the zoo.
Oh, okay.
So like some mornings you can hear like the lions roaring on the. That's one thing I love about Albuquerque is like when the sun comes up, you can hear lions roaring
The
from
neighborhood
zoo.
lions. Yeah, I don't even use an alarm clock now. It's a lion, wake me up. It's like a rooster. So talk about. So you said Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I used to be in Vancouver during the summer, so I can have a testimonial to the overcast and what it does to you. I mean, people like the dreary weather here because it's a change, but how many days after days you just go open up the blinds, here we go again, drizzling. It's really bad for the soul.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Not. I mean, there are people that love that kind of weather. I just can't. I can't. We had a couple of days like that this week, and actually those were kind of nice. But
You almost just flew to Cancun. I don't tolerate dreary days.
I'm sun driven. I need that high intensity sun.
You're sun driven, but tell us about the best ski day you had this year, because we're already in the spring, and it was like what 4 days ago we just got a random snowstorm.
That was incredible. I mean, these are the secrets of like New Mexico, where you can go up on a weekday and we had like 10 inches of new snow. There was nobody up there. We had the mountain to ourselves. It was
The
just incredible.
snowboarders call it pow pow, right? All my friends do that, and I go, if you say pow pow, that's another word. If you say pow pow one more time, I'm gonna disconnect my phone. I'm glad you didn't say it. I would have left the show.
You don't ski or snowboard?
I do. I just don't like the word pow pow.
Okay.
Just say snow. We're grown ups.
Deep snow. Deep snow. It was-
Yeah,
it was-
deep
it was
snow.
wonderful.
That fresh.
Where did we go from here?
So, so let's circle back to solar, because this
Okay.
is one thing that Grant and I always ran about, is that residential solar projects, it's a hot button topic in the fact that we have 300 days of sunshine here.
Yeah.
But what does it really look like to the homeowner? Who actually wins when it comes to residential solar? Because we've seen nightmare stories when you're going to buy or sell properties.
Yeah, we were talking about, so a lot of my hesitancy for getting solar was there's a lot of ways to go about it through basically purchasing, right?
Yeah.
What the ways that you would extract your solar power. What is the best way from a guy that doesn't have a dog in the race? What's the best way to go about getting solar?
Yeah, that's a great question. I will just say, I'm down on residential solar. I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't like it because it's the most expensive solar power you can buy to put it individually on your roof. I appreciate that, back in, the day 10, 15 years ago, people with means could buy solar.
Where's the lion's share of the cost? Is it in the panel or the inverter or the installation? Because you look at some of these price tags on residential solar, you go, holy cow! Well, where is the biggest cost when it comes to installing the system?
It used to be the panels. That's less so. It's now more like the permits, the labor,
Because you still have to get it approved through the city. You still have to have
Yep.
licensed contractors do the installation.
Yep.
Here's one thing we'll dispel. Here's a myth. So the solar salesman will come by and they go, did you know it will add and stuff? First of all, if you're going to get solar, don't make it someone else's problem when you go to sell. We've had that before. There's Joe, like, you want to buy the house, and they go, hey, by the way, I owe $30,000 on my panels. It becomes someone else's problem. That house is no longer 280, it becomes a 310. The other thing is that you do not get value on your appraisals so far. So when the salesmen tell you, hey, it'll improve your property value, so far what I've seen is the appraisers aren't giving you that credit for the solar panels. So don't fall for it. They're salesmen for a reason.
Do you know, so politically, are there certain administrations that favor solar tax credits?
Besides Carter's.
Yeah, Carter's out. We got him out. He can't even go anymore. The place burned down.
Rest in peace.
So, what are your expectations for election year? Is solar, is that a hot button when it comes to politics?
It is. I think the solar industry has done a good job at getting people to think that wow, solar is something that we should all invest
Get behind.
in. So that worked. Unfortunately, I think the now there are just so many ways that people can get into solar that are that really are complicated and loan based, and you encumber your property and yourself into these very long, essentially like second mortgages basically on these things.
What should we do? I mean, what is your opinion?
Okay, so on my house I do have solar, but I've already had to get it pay to have it removed so that I could redo the roof. Obviously you don't want to do that, and then had it reinstalled, which is horrible. It doesn't really do that much to offset what I use in my house. That's more on me because we're heavy electrical users. But I like this idea where instead of putting it on your roof, I like this idea of like you guys heard of like community gardens, right? Where there's a plot, it doesn't have a house on it. It's like a dedicated plot for gardening, and you get a little portion of that, and you tend to that, and you get to take the vegetables out. They have that now, and we do have that in New Mexico. It's now they're called community solar gardens, where you can participate in a portion of a community solar garden that's located on land that is dedicated for this use. It's industrial equipment, it's maintained, and it's not encumbered with your house. You can move a house and still have your portion of it, like that ownership on that community solar garden feed into your meter, basically, virtually metered.
So it's like a community well, like for water, because I know that's big in the mountains. There's like a community well that the neighbors will all
You
pull
pay
off
for
of.
what you can afford,
Yeah.
and you can
interesting.
own it, you can lease it, you can rent it, you can sell it.
Solar. So do you get a discount on like solar panels from your factory? Is there like a damaged section where you can like throw them in the back of your truck and sell them for half
I don't
off?
get a discount on that kind of stuff, but I know some people that could probably.
Is there like a Ross, like for solar panels, like this one's chipped, but if you don't mind it, having a dent in it, liquidating,
There are plenty of those kinds of things.
Is it really?
Yeah, there are
Just
plenty
made
of
that
those.
up, so it goes another business
Patent
idea.
pending.
Yeah. Okay, so one last thing. So where do you see New Mexico being as a pioneer, or are we on the forefront of anything in this state?
This is what I
For
think
solar?
could be interesting. This is just my idea that I'm going to try and push. But New Mexico has a lot of land, a lot of the land that is native-owned land. Increasingly, that native-owned land is being approached by solar developers to build utility-scale solar on.
The new casinos.
It's something like that. It's making use of land in the way that folks like to imagine they can make use of land, and more there is a thought about what do we do with this land when the solar is finished doing what it was supposed to do, and also what do we do with that land while under power plant construction and ownership and operation. So I like this idea of basically raising sheep on these solar sites to graze what little vegetation happens. And when you start to shade huge areas of land, more of this stuff kind of pops up that wasn't just kind of deserted out by the beating sun. Also, the panels drop water on the other side, so they create these kind of water troughs. So there's more thought to. It's called agrivoltaics, kind of a buzzword in our industry now. But there's more thought to like, how do we take better care of the land? How do we work with the native tribes to take a good use of the land and return it back into a good use for the native tribes as well.
There's no more bisons. I think the hunters were like, bison, you're not going to be here anymore.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you.
This show is going off the rails. Colin, one thing I like about you, man, you're always a fun guy. Great at golf, great at skiing.
Are you great at golf? God, it's a tough sport.
I'd love to be known at great at golf. He's just not great at golf.
He's just pumping his tires. Thank you for coming on. You're also the best tightrope walker.
But here's what I love about you. Director of Business Development. It's a fancy title for a guy that is basically, you're in charge of wining and dining. And you're the best guy for it. You always find you're always a good time.
Doesn't get out to too many people.
You're always a good time when it comes to going out to dinners and finding entertainment.
I appreciate that. We should go out to dinner more.
Yeah, we should.
We should.
Let's
We're
develop
go
this show
now.
a little bit better.
Knockouts closed. You can't go there. And you see that article.
Colin Mitchell, thank you so much for joining us today on YouABQ. But it's good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
I want to invite you guys to stay tuned to the end of the show. It's everybody's favorite Skip's Tips. This is YouABQ.
We're back. That was a wonderful segment about a piece of information that we're all wondering about, solar, and now the riddle is gone. The mystery is over. We're going to get into another mystery, Skip's Tips and marriage advice.
Yeah, the only mystery here is what is in your stupid coffee mug? Nothing. Spoiler alert. Skip's Tips, anything that saves us time, makes us more money, or allows us to have more fun, whether that's in real estate or real life. Attention homeowners, squatters, it's squatter season. 5 things you need to know to keep your home safe from illegal squatters. This is a pandemic that's taking over states like Florida, California. People will move into vacant houses and squat not just on the carpet. Number 1, level up your home security. If you've got a vacant property, it's mandatory that you have security cameras. Not only will people steal your copper wire, they will also move in unannounced and take over on a fake lease. Number 2, the home alone strategy. Make it look like somebody's already living in your vacant house. Remember just the guy dancing in the window? That's a good way to keep squatters out. Number 3, just because your home is vacant, make sure you spend enough time driving by or stopping by for maintenance. That'll detour other squatters from moving in. Number 4, take legal action ASAP. Evicting a squatter can take up to months to years depending on what the situation looks like. And the last thing, number 5, take matters into your own hands. Be a vigilante. In fact, you can hire companies that will bypass the entire legal system, kick down the door, and drag the squatters out into the streets. Yeah, we've done it. Either way, stay safe out there and avoid squatting in your vacant home. Share this with a friend and tell them Skip said so.
Yeah, Skip, you don't know squat anyway, so.
Why do you always have empty mugs
It's
here?
not empty.
It's
Don't
empty.
You leave it alone. Do not. One time I had it and he tried to dump it. Don't do it, dude. I tried it. He like exposed me for not having any coffee in there.
All right, I will say this. I'm not going to dump it on the rug because God knows the star of the show is the rug. There is coffee in there, but it looks
leave
like
it
it's
alone.
mixed with Dude Ranch. Great
Anyways,
episode. Colin Mitchell, dude. Thank you for saving the show.
Yeah, and squatting should be legal anyways because of the quads from all my squatting.
Quadzilla.
Ah!
God, this show is on fire.
Yes.
Wednesday nights and Sunday mornings here on the Education Channel or around the world on the YouABQ podcast.
Sponsored by Golden Corral.
And Mississippi Steaks, which is just deep fried catfish.
What
I don't
is
even know what
that?
that means.
Did anyone,
I don't
did you
know.
ever get steaks from Omaha or whatever?
Yeah.
Such a weird premise. You work for Cutco too? Cutco Knives. Proud sponsor.
We gotta go.
We got derailed.
See ya.
You're watching YouABQ.